Where did we last leave Davenant? I believe at his home. Or really he was walking back home. As he walks down the street, and the endless rain continues to pour, he thinks of what he just did. And he asks himself, is he ready for it? Is Davenant ready for war against Ackerman? Is he ready to lose more than just Sarah? The thoughts once again roll in his face, in his head. The thoughts of the informant and how he talked about Sarah and how he didn't know anything. Davenant he's angry, he's anxious, he's ready to once again work with Sarah. It is beginning to motivate him even greater than before. He is becoming more and more ambitious. He wants more power. And once again, we see he's not going to stop with one informant or one enforcer. He is almost ready to take them all down if they stand in his way. And it all begins with Norschflitz. They have become a stone in his walkway. A stone to be thrown aside, stepped over, or blown apart. The cries resound in his mind. The cries of that informant as he is being tortured by Cremuth. The news which he had received from Ruth. The news about the Lord Marshal going missing. The Lord High Marshal going missing. And then his thoughts turn again to Actress. Someone who he didn't really take notice of before. Perhaps he was, I don't know, perhaps he was just taken too deep in his work. Perhaps he was spending his time buttering up Sarah, or stealing work, or perhaps creating a plan to kill the senior. Whatever the matter is, whatever the reason was, it's gone now, and he's starting to take more notice of people around him. And she is quite lovely and pleasing to the eye. And that is what Davenant is thinking as he's walking home. I believe you're muted.
Yeah. As you return home, there's that encounter with the man in the alleyway.
Yes.
You think back on that just a few seconds ago as he turned and walked away from you, and you probed his mind and heard another voice in there. They had delivered a package to you. This person who had spoken to you was a rebel.
Fires of rebellion.
So, you're now in the rain, knowing that Norschfeltz could very easily be watching you anytime soon. Do you continue walking home?
I do.
You make the rest of the trek home till you arrive at your house. Again, the upper area is just a regular apartment, and then it has another part where you live and sleep, which is filled with water. It's an elaborate place. It's definitely not cheap, but it's practical. Your scientific instruments that you have taken from the lab and stored here in the corner, inside of a neat storage system that you designed with the help of Sarah. You've already gone through all of this. What's your plan?
Devlin needs to be ready for what he's thrown himself into. Perhaps he needs to be ready for, or at least prepared for, up close and personal if these Norschfelds ever corner him again and beat him up or just surprise him. He knows one-on-one he could win. Although with a recent injury, it'd be hard, but it wouldn't be impossible. He'd need something to take them all down in one go. Perhaps a grenade specifically designed for humanoids, for humans. Perhaps a gun of sorts. A gun to inject a poison of some kind. Or just some toxic gas. Either way, he needs something to defend himself. Something more than just his fists and his armor.
So
I believe
you want to
Devin
design something new instead of just going to buy an existing weapon.
Oh, I will buy an existing. I will. I'll buy one of those. It's like a dart gun that can collect an amount of blood when shot and hit whenever it hits a person. I don't know what those are called, but
Okay. Yeah, so you want to go buy one of those?
Yeah.
Tonight, or are you going to go to sleep first?
Well, Sarah might have one of those, so I'll check in her stuff
Okay.
that I brought home.
Give me a luck check.
I'll check it. A natural one.
No such luck.
What happened to those plants of terror? I forgot. Heart attack plants.
The heart attack plants? Nothing. You
Yeah.
still have them.
I was just wondering if they're still at their lab, or, well, technically part of Sarah's experiments and whatnot. Um, ooh. Thinking of the lab and thinking of Sarah again, he remembers a book which belonged to the previous senior.
The notebook.
Whatever, yes, the notebook, the previous senior's diary. He's firstly going to go to bed, but he's going to think about this, and then he's going to inquire about the investigation, the first destruction of the lab, see if there's any connection that they have with the recent bombings. And naturally and logically, if there is no connection, they wouldn't really have a need to have it any longer.
The first destruction?
Yeah, the first destruction of the lab when Davenid was injured, when they
You
first
mean
took the book.
you mean when Dabenid blew up the lab?
Yeah, yeah. When Davenid blew up the lab.
Okay, cool. So you live right next to the Capitol building. So is that where you head to the Capitol building to look into the information involving that book?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Um. All right. So you start walking to the Capitol building. 1 second. I have to write something down.
Hmm.
I just think it's funny you disconnected and reconnect. Anyways, you head into the marshalship, and you see just search the clerk. What do you do?
Um, I would ask him for directions to the uh, recent archives or recent cases that happen going on, especially. Could you point me to?
Okay, yeah, I can point you to someone who has been going over this. She types something up and hands it to you. It's a little bit of instructions, you know. You continue. You make your way to evidence, and there's a person sitting outside. And what do you say to him?
Um, I'm I'm here to look at a book that was put in evidence.
Under what authority? Do you have clearance?
That
You
one
remember that you
isn't.
came here to be like, is this
Yes.
investigation over? You know.
Yes. Um, I'm looking to see if this investigation about the lab the lab's destruction is over.
Oh yes. Hank Graldwich? You looking for Hank
Yes.
Graldwich's belongings? Yeah, the case has been closed.
Under whose order?
Uh, the Lord Marshal's. There was no evidence was found anywhere. And it was shut down. He signs off on all case closures. Well, case closures of that caliber, anyways.
Yes. Yes.
But Mr. Graldwich's belongings have already been collected.
Do you recognize? Do you remember the person who collected?
Yeah. No, we have to take down the names of people who come get stuff. The it was an adept sister by name of Amelia.
And do you know who she directly works for?
Well, the adepts they all work for one of the convent mothers, um, and by extension, the church and the dragon at whole. But no, I don't know who her boss is. You'd have to go check with the adept.
What was the Lord Marshal's name? The one that signed the
The Lord
signature?
Marshal. Oh, the Lord High Marshal. Yes,
Yeah.
he
Oh.
Jeffrey.
Oh.
The Lord Marshal signed off on it.
All right.
Like I said, he has to sign off on most case closures of this caliber.
All right then.
Who might you be for records?
I am Morpheus.
Morpheus. He types something into a computer. Mr. Dabinid Morpheus?
That is correct.
All right. Have a good day, sir.
You as well.
You turn and leave. And where do you go from here? You want to go buy a weapon or go to the adept first?
I'll go to the adept sister. Yeah, the adept.
Okay. Cool. So you start making your way to the St. Herman's Cathedral, I believe is the name of it. Let me look over this. Yeah, I believe it's St. Herman's Cathedral. Yeah, you make your way to St. Herman's Cathedral, and you go inside. And where do you go from here? Do you just talk to one of the many different flagellants or adepts standing around? What do you do?
Yes, I request. I will walk up to one of them and ask where the adept Amelia is. Sister Amelia.
You want
The,
there are a bunch of sisters. You might want to go talk to the adept mothers, convent mothers. They'd know.
where may I find them?
He points over and sees it says there's one of them there.
Um, I'll look that way and then walk my way over there.
Sure enough, there is an older woman in uh, convent clothing or adept clothing, but she's over here sweeping the floor.
Uh, what What would be a proper term to address them by?
Mother, mother adept, adept, sister their name, mother their name.
Right. I walk over and say, Adept sister, um, I'm looking for a person, a Adept Amelia, I believe is the name. Do you recognize this name?
Adept Amelia. I know quite a few adepts under me. Um, Adept Amelia. She says, "Follow me." And this mother
And I
walks
do.
until she reaches an area and sits down, and opens up a drawer, and you see her desk is piled high. Her desk is set up so like St. Herman's Cathedral has this big old gaping gate that you walk through, and then there's this huge open, I guess you'd call it like parlor or anteroom. You're just this massive open space before you even get to the cathedral proper. And just in this massive open space, she just has a desk set up in like one of the corners. Like it doesn't look like it belonged there. She just set up there one day. On her desk are piled religious books, and she sets her broom down, and you see there are other cleaning supplies around. She sits down on the desk and opens some things up and goes, "Adept Amelia. Is it Emilia or Amelia?"
It's Emilia.
Emilia. There are a few adept sister Emilias. Adept sister Emilia. Do you know what adept she serves?
I do not, but I believe she would have a great passion for knowledge, or just some passion for knowledge.
Then she would probably be one of the Scoligia adepts. Scoligia adept Emilia. There's a Scoligia adept Emilia in the West Wing. You might go see her. She
I
smiles.
then ask for directions.
She gives you directions, and
where?
as she smiles, you realize this person before you, who you presumed was a human, is in fact a vampire, but lacking the pale skin and dead eyes.
Hmm. And she's not a half vampire?
Nope.
And what is your name, mother?
She smiles and says, "My name is, and what is yours?"
Out of character, she did not say her name, or I just
No.
don't remember her name.
She said her name.
Um. Okay.
She nods her head. UHM. It's
Well,
pronounced. I believe it was an old Elric name before the land was taken over by Lavasa. In the first Vampire Wars and the unification of the progenitor, it would have originally been pronounced Uhm.
fascinating.
She nods her head.
Well, I thank you. And you did say this way, that way, and then that way?
Yes.
Right.
Have a good one, Mr.
Morpheus.
Morpheus.
And
Have a
I
good one,
give
Mr. Morpheus.
a half bow, as I suppose a half vampire would give a little bit deeper vow to a full vampire or something. But I'll just give a like a nod bow because I don't
Mhm.
know.
Okay.
And I head to the West Wing.
Cool.
And search.
Okay, cool. So you head to the West Wing, and there's a Scollegia archives district here. And sitting at the front, there is a mother, an adept mother, sitting there looking over some things.
Adept Mother, I was wondering if you could help me. I'm searching for someone by the name of Amelia. I believe she is an adept. Amelia.
Emilia. This adept mother looks up, and you realize she looks way younger than she probably should. Definitely a vampire. But this person drank blood when they were very young. Like, you know, this person couldn't have been much old. They couldn't have been in their 20s when they drank blood. She begins roughing through files and goes, Amelia, yes. And then a blood curdling screech of a voice escapes from her mouth as she goes, Amelia!
Oh my goodness. Well, she's on my hit list. As in, I hit her to make myself feel better. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, you head that way. There's after a minute, someone approaches, and an adept sister approaches. She's got smut splotches on her face. There are cobwebs in this bushy red afro on her head. She's got thick gloves on. She's got a belt, like a cargo belt, but in it are stuck bookmarks and ledgers and an abacus, in addition to a couple more books. She approaches you, and she's just got this scared look on her face. Also, she has these glasses on her head. They're these tiny, spindly little glasses, like a tiny little wire frame, tiny little wires going back behind her ears, but the lenses are huge, covering like a huge portion of her face. And she's wearing heavy like combat boots, but they're too big for her, so it looks like she's like multiple layers of socks on to make them fit, and then over this she has just the regular adept over all of this she has just the regular adept robes thrown over them, but the front is open, and she's trying to like pull it together and fasten it with the little ties. She approaches and goes, Yes, mother? This individual is looking for you. She turns. Yes?
I'm looking for a person. I believe you are the person. Did you go to the evidence room a few days ago and collect the belongings of a one called Graldwich?
No, sir. No, my lord.
Did you go to the evidence room?
No.
And collect anything?
No, my lord. I spend most of my days here. Let's step away from Mother Gertrude. The adept archivist looks at you and like scowls a little bit.
I give her a nod and a little Just a little one, and I walk away.
Cool. You walk away as
Click of
Emilia
the
leads you
tongue.
to
That's what it is.
what? What?
A click of the tongue. A click
Oh, okay.
of the tongue.
You walk away and sit down. And adept sister Emilia like moves a couple of books, and there's like a cup of tea sitting behind some things on a bookshelf. She pulls it out and sets the whole book down like it was a tray. And she goes, I think I've got some crackers over here, and moves some other books aside, and there are indeed like some stale crackers, and sets them down. She goes, I don't normally expect guests. She sits down. What were you needing from the evidence, my lord?
I was looking for someone who collected evidence, a notebook of the previous senior of technology. And I
You're a
thought you
senior?
might be
She
that
says, her
person.
eyes popping out of her skull, which, like, amplified by her glasses, is a little terrifying.
I said it was the evidence of the previous senior.
Oh,
I did not say I was the senior.
I see. Sorry, I just get very excited. I don't get out much. Kind of been raised here, she
I
says,
can understand.
scratching her skull through her massive red afro.
Oh my goodness. That paints a picture in my mind. Oh.
Wait, hold up. What are you thinking of, Spencer? Spencer, have you been watching Markiplier?
No.
I think that's where your mind went. I think that's where your mind went.
No. It reminded me of that Japanese guy in One Piece with that big blue afro.
But you knew what I was talking about.
What are you talking about?
Okay. Okay. Alright, moving on.
But I am from the science division.
I see.
And I was actually going there to collect those belongings to Girl Witch.
Oh, I'm sorry, but yeah, no, I don't get out much. But do you know who collected them?
I know a sister adept Amelia did.
Well, I mean, I don't ever remember going there. There are plenty of Amelias though within the Adept Sisters of the Convents. I could help you find it if you like.
Perhaps. Yes, that would be quite nice. Perhaps one with a deep knowledge and desire to learn history or facts or just science.
All right. Well, she goes, well, you're in the right place. These are the archives. We are the Adept Archivists, so... she leads you to a location where there's just this long hallway of, like, filing cabinets. And she grabs one of them and, like, it doesn't open. She just punches the filing cabinet and then it opens. She goes, it's been a while since we've had any kind of update down here. A lot of things are pretty old. And she draws out the filing cabinet and it like extends like 8 feet from the wall. And then she goes through it and goes, Emilia. Is it Emilia or Amelia?
It might be Amelia.
All right. Well, if we look through, she closes the E drawer and moves her way back to the A's. I'm currently employed, so all of those sections can be ignored. She opens one and then starts looking through it. Let's see. Amelia. Adept Sisters Amelia. There are 5 of them currently within the Adept Sisters of the Convent. One of them is a mother, probably not her. Mother Audrey of the Adept Scotrinis. Not her. Definitely not her. Then we've got 4 Adept Sisters. One of them working for the Adept Flagellaet. One of them working for the Adept Pastoris. Probably not. Well, it could be her. Well, we got 3 of them here. There's one working for the Adept Scholagia in the library. There's one working for the Prestoris, again, in the library. And there is another one working for the Adept, again, Prestoris, but she serves under the priests.
Perhaps one that gets around a lot, moves around from place to place.
That would probably be the Adept Amelia under the Prestoris, the one working for a Father Campbell.
Right. Now, perhaps I got it wrong, and then let's check the E's real fast. Just make
E's?
sure.
All right.
Yes.
She pulls it out and pulls out like 8 or 9 files, and he goes, "There's of course yours truly," she says with a smile, and blushing a little bit. She sets it down. She pulls out another one and goes, "There is Adept Emilia working for the Scholagia. I didn't know there was another Emilia in the Scholagia. Apparently there is. She works here in the archives. There's another Emilia working here in the archives." She frowns a little bit. "I didn't know that. There is and the rest work for the Prestoris."
You said there's another one working in the archives, but you've never met her.
Yeah. She works in the days that I'm not here, which are weird because I'm only not here on Tuesdays and that's it.
Where might this Amelia from Campbell, Father Campbell, where would she be staying?
Well, I could give you directions, but wouldn't it be easier if I just showed you?
Yes, it might indeed.
She smiles. She perks
If
up
you
a little
would.
bit at this and kind of plays with her hair a little bit and stands up, grabs a couple of books, looks at them, sets them back down, and then begins walking. "This way." She walks, and you guys make your way to the sanctums and the sanctoriums, and begin making your way through the different branches of the church. Where would you like? So you head to the Prestoris, which will of course be sanctuaries and whatnot. There are dozens of liturgies going on at all times. Campbell. She makes her way through a couple of turns, and you guys walk for a good 30, 45 minutes till finally you arrive at the liturgy of Father Campbell. You walk in, there are a few people in here, sitting there listening to this man giving a fiery speech. He is going on. Brothers, we must not tolerate the furious corruption that comes with mortality. We must stand against and rise up the teachings of people such as these. You see, he holds up the a toothy rebuke and says, "These must be expunged from our buildings, expunged from our liturgies. We must find these people and burn them at the stake for their heresy against the first dragon." And he goes on for a minute. When he sees you, he says, "You there, brother Do you know the power of the dragon? Do you bow before him daily?
I nod very vigorously when he's asking the questions. That way, I don't have to answer him.
He says,
I nod very vigorously.
"Then let everyone come forth to the stand. Let them come forward. Let them repent. Let them repent." And several people walk forward. And Father Campbell steps down and says, "My son, I bless you for your giving," and then derobes them and dumps boiling water on their head. And the man stands there and doesn't scream or say anything. And then Father Campbell steps back and opens a curtain, and the man walks through it and says, "Be cleansed, brother, be cleansed." And then he carries on the process for each person and turns to you. "Brother, will you this day be cleansed?"
As they're doing that, I lean over to Amelia and say, "Have you ever had that happen to you?"
"No, these guys are nut jobs."
Do you know what happens to the body when such a thing happens?
Pain?
Can literally ruin your own mind.
She shakes a little bit. "Sister, have you come to receive the red kiss?" She goes red and kind of like looks around. "Me? The red kiss? You see that only the most righteous, only the most pure can gain it. Are you that pure, sister? Are you holy enough to receive the blessing from the first dragon and ascend your mortal coil?" Well," he begins walking forward. "Have you cast aside your inner doubts daily? Do you throw yourself at the feet of the statues and pray? Do you look to the dragons and prostrate yourself daily? Hourly, do you every time you have a wicked thought, scourge it from your body? Do you fast? Do you hold yourself to the utmost accord and blanket yourself for your many sins?" He approaches and extends his hands.
I see this mental image of him slowly approaching as he gets more aggressive in speech. kind of crawling forward as it will.
Crawling forward.
Speaking in tongues. Okay.
Go.
When he gets closer, I'll hold up my hand as if to tell him to stop and say, "She is a sister of the what is it called again?"
Are you asking in character or out of character?
No, out of character.
It's Schologia. She's an adept Schologia.
Schology. She is a sister of the Schologia. She serves the dragon by recording history.
I see. I know this. But do you know how many sisters there are in this city? Do you know how many there are in the country? And tell me, brother, how many of them have received the red kiss? How many of them have been blessed by the dragon? How many have been truly morally upright so that they might overcome their mortal shackles and cast aside their lesser lives so that they might serve the dragon in perpetuity?
I do not. However, I suppose you are Father Campbell.
He
correct?
He stops and pulls out a napkin and wipes his head from the sweat that he's been building up from giving his fiery speech and says, "I am Father Campbell, yes. And who might you be?"
I'm here investigating a sister, Amelia.
Amelia?
from
Well,
your
Amelia is busy cleansing the subjects. She is busy
Does she
rewarding
get
the
out
faithful.
much?
Does she get out much? No, she's usually here with me.
That's not in character. Ah. That is quite sad. I'm sorry for wasting your time. I was merely searching for Amelia.
You can see
I
her
suppose
if you would only be cleansed, brother. I can see the power of the dragon within you.
Devinid's eyes will kind of flicker, kind of like the spiral of his dark red eyes, as if blood is, spiraling in his eyes. I have already been cleansed.
But
And the
brother,
dragon still looks blessed upon me.
Brother, the dragon says that to all. He offers his hands to all, and many claim to be cleansed, but few have ever given themselves in totality to him. And I tell you, unless you do, when the first dragon falls upon us from the sky and breathes his holy fire upon us, all the unrighteousness will be burned away, and unless you are pure, that fire will burn you with it.
You burn others with water, hot, but I was burned by the holy power.
I love how Davin is adjusting his voice to fit with his.
I was burned, not by water as you do, but by light as I have been. I do tire from telling people of this, because it is of no great effect to me. How shall I be humble as a dragon if I brag about my pain, my suffering, and my
Campbell
righteous?
is smiling so brightly and says, "So you have been cleansed, brother." He grabs your shoulders and says, "Brother, come. Behind the curtain, take the final step. Be purely cleansed. Be made new. Let the sister help you."
Is Father Campbell a vampire?
Oh, very much so, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I would absolutely love to, and I am on a tight schedule.
Spencer, roll an intelligence check for me.
Okay.
Spencer.
Sorry, I was talking, but something popped up. I rolled a 23.
You rolled a 23.
Yes.
There are historical instances throughout the Church of the Dragon, especially as it became more and more prominent, of extremist organizations such as these that believe that when the first dragon returns, he will burn all impurities. He will just, cast everything aside that is not absolutely perfect. Personally that that's not what the dragon teaches? I mean, I assume that's what you. I mean, are you one of these people? Do you believe this?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm
Oh,
more
okay.
scientific. Um, but, like you said before, I kind of adjust my mannerisms when I'm around certain individuals, especially
Okay.
extremists.
Um. Uh. Okay. Cool. And there are different what people believe to be the final cleansing and whatnot. There are several references to the final cleansing within the different books, within the different scrolls in the Book of the Dragon. But okay, cool. So you are escorted because you're. So he turns and says, "But the sister must stay out here
Hmm,
with me."
very well. Take me.
Emilia kind of looks at you with this scared look on her face.
I give her a nod and I say, I shall be back. And if it is the dragon's will, well, we all know. And I give her a nod and I start walking.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, you head back behind the curtain, and what you are greeted by is a strong, perfumed room that is dimly lit by purple flames surrounding it, and the people who were burned outside with the water have their skin scorched and charred. Um, and you realize these people have been burned by far more. And there are screams of ecstasy coming from this room, centered around Sister Emilia as they partake of the final cleansing.
What does this final cleansing look like?
um, um, let us say that there is not
Oh
much
my
joy
goodness.
these people get in life. And so, because their skin does not have much feeling to it, they seek out joy in other
Yeah,
ways.
in other men.
And with that intelligence check, exactly which passage they are referring to. There is a passage in Book 3 of the Scroll of the Dragon, or Scroll 3 in the Book of the Dragon, that says that creating a child is a pure act. This is it is a holy thing, not to be shunned or looked down upon. And these people have taken that quite literally.
Oh my goodness. I don't mind a child, but a chimera?
So,
Oh,
yes. Sister Emilia is there. She appears to be vampiric. So, yeah. Do you stay in this room or do you leave?
nah, I leave. I can
Okay,
catch her
cool.
another time. Possibly
You walk back
not.
out to see Father Campbell billowing loudly at Sister Emilia, the one out here.
Mhm. While
Going
I'm
into
walking
his
up
fiery
behind him,
speeches again.
what is. Oh, okay. Okay.
Just,
Then I.
then you what?
Then I walk past him and I say, "No luck here," to Amelia.
As you turn and leave, Father Campbell is screaming at you for your lack of faith and that kind of stuff. Where do you go next? Emilia kind of like looks over at you, and you can see that she seems very disturbed by y'all's encounter back there.
As I walk past him, I'm like, not my lack of faith, but your lack of knowledge. And I walk past. And then we head. Hey, I may be a half vampire, but I belong in the science division.
Dang, brother. He goes, okay, so which sister do we want to look into next? One of the Amelias?
Are there any sisters that deal with the enforcers or the Lord Marshal?
Adept sisters that work for the marshalship?
Perhaps we'll be able to find them in the records, or I don't know.
Hold up, I'm typing some things down.
No problem.
No, there are no adepts that serve directly with the marshalship, although there is the adept apothecary.
Mm-hmm. And those heal. I suppose
They're just
those are ones
adept apothecarians are just nuns that are focused on going around taking care of the sick and the needy, and like think Red Cross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There are some in the adept apothecarian, but the ones we've got so far are the adept Scologia. There's one more in the adept Scologia who works in the library. It's an Amelia. The couple of more of the Emilias serve the Prestoris, and one works for the Flagellate.
Out of character, what does the Prestoris and the Flagellate
They serve the adepts. The adepts Prestoris serve priests. They're missionaries essentially, but they also work with priests and whatnot. So they, as back there, Sister Emilia served under a priest.
Oh, yeah. Literally.
Adept flagellates. They are punishers. Adept flagellates. They dish out punishment. They've gone through many different names, and flagellate is the most official name. And that's an old name. Most people probably know them by older, more grave names. That kind of stuff. Like I said, they punish people. Yeah.
Perhaps the one in the library.
Oh yeah. You would know them by the name Chastisis.
Chastisis.
Yeah, the adept Chastisis.
Right.
So you're gonna head to the library. Cool.
Yes.
You guys head to the Great Library. and you make your way there. I just realized I need like Gregorian chanting.
Oof. Probably some light rain. I don't know.
1 second. Here we go. Yeah, you begin making your way to the Scologia. Eventually, you arrive there, and there is sitting at a desk in front of the Great Library another adept mother. Emilia approaches her and says, "Adept mother," and she looks up and says, "Yes, what can I do for you?" Mother, is there a Sister Emilia here? This woman looks stern and strict and just like down to earth, get it done. Like she's an older woman. There's a ruler on her desk that you know she doesn't use to measure things. Um, and she goes,
Maybe she once
"There's
served under
Emilia."
a priest.
She points in a direction, and you and Emilia head off in that direction. You approach, and after you round a couple of corners, Emilia says, "Sister," and you turn. You see there's a woman standing, a very attractive lady. Um, she's very pretty. She's got gorgeous hair. There's only so much the adept robes can do to hide the figure of someone like her. She turns and looks at you and looks at the two of you and says, "Yes," and stops and looks at Emilia and processes for a second and goes, "Sister, can I help you? Are you Sister Emilia?" "I am." And then Emilia turns to look at you.
Hello. I was wondering if you went to the evidence room in the enforcer ship or wherever it comes from. And I was wondering if you collected some personal belongings of one called Hank Grodwich.
Give me a perception check.
Oh. A 19.
There is a hold up. There is a move on her brows kind of furrows a little bit when you say that. And she goes, "No, I don't believe I have. I have gone there to do that."
Insight, because I don't believe her as well.
Insight. Cool. So, yeah, roll insight.
That is a 21.
21. You can guess that the furrowing of the brow is probably related to some kind of surprise or attempt at deception.
Do you know the man I speak of?
Hank Grodwich, he was the previous senior of technology, was he not?
That is correct.
Uh,
How long have you been working here? Or how long have you been here?
How long have I been working for my whole life? I have been an adept sister my entire life.
And do you know, have you ever met an enforcer or, yes, an enforcer named, oh, goodness, that's right on the tip of my tongue.
Hewlin von Gimsbach?
Yes. Have you ever met an enforcer named Hewlin von Gimsbach?
When you say this, her eyes go wide and she goes, the Lord First Deputy?
I do believe that is what he's been called now.
I believe, yes, he has come by a few times, looking for different
Interesting.
research and whatnot.
Research?
Sir, do you work for the marshalship?
I am in a joint program of the senior building, yes.
With the seigneurs. I see. See, it's my understanding that investigations involving the marshalship are to be conducted by enforcers or deputies or a marshal himself. Am I under investigation, sir?
It depends if it has anything related to you.
No,
Now,
it doesn't. If you excuse me,
need I ask
my
my
seigneur,
question
I'm
again?
busy. If you excuse me, my seigneur, I'm very busy. I've answered your questions.
I will not.
Sister Amelia kind of looks at you and goes, My lord, I'm very busy. I've answered your questions. If you would like to ask me further, please return with an enforcer or a marshal. Considering your hesitation, this informs me you aren't actually working with the marshalship. So, before you try to
That's why
spread
I'm just
lies in his
contemplating.
before you try and spread lies in His Holiness's great church, I suggest you leave.
Is she a vampire?
I believe so. I think she's a vampire. Hold up, let me message Huel, see if he knows. For now, I'm going to go with, yeah, she is. I'm pretty sure she's a vampire.
Yeah, she might be.
As you stand there and Amelia kind of
Very
looks
well.
at you, you say very well, and then
You may leave. Or continue on with your business.
Amelia kind of steps back and goes, "Oh, how rude. We're just asking a few questions. And the assumption that you lied." You see Amelia kind of face kind of flickers a little bit. You didn't lie, did you?
I have not.
Oh, good. I'll bet she
There's something
stole it.
special about that one. I feel like, based on the knowledge which I have seen, I believe she has somehow given the book to Hewlin von Gimsbach.
Oh,
But why would he need it? Why would he want
why
it?
indeed? And I think that's where we are going to end the session.